Everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Talks, where we talk the authentic and filtered reality of the happenings in the sports and fitness industry. Today, I have the honor and the pleasure of speaking with somebody I've wanted to talk to for quite some time. Somebody whose product I actually enjoy and think personally is one of the best products in the country in that industry. But today we are speaking with none other than the CEO of Rabz, Joshua.
Good.
Thank you for doing this, brother.
Mhm.
Yeah. So let's talk these things. How, bro, you've been able to create something that I think is like the voice of the youth, essentially,
Mm.
right? You've been able to use social media to market yourself, and your products are is a very high quality offering that I would say you put out, right?
Mhm.
What was the origin story? How did you come about doing this?
The origin story is actually something that not everybody likes to speak about on my team, but I mean I'm always one to tell everybody like ugly or pretty where it is we come from.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually from a backyard, really and truly. Like we during COVID, before COVID we actually um got into fighting. Well, I started fighting back in like 2019.
Mm-hmm.
My best friend started fighting as well,
Mm-hmm.
but he lives in Barbados, so
Right.
he wasn't in the country. And right before COVID hit, he came down and he said like, "Hey, well, I just started boxing. You started boxing. Let's throw a little fight in the backyard." And this is behind my house, by the way. So,
Right.
and me being a sneaky child, I waited for my mom to go to church. I waited for my uncle to go out to some dinner yard or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah.
And then I invited like probably 15 brethren over. So
Damn.
much. One of them was actually Zachary Gonzalez.
Oh,
'Cause
cool.
We
Yeah.
went to school together. And we just kind of duked it out in my back porch, to be honest. On some tile, there was a window in the background, a door in the background. I bounced my head, all kind of thing. And then from there, like,
This is bare knuckle or this was like actual
nah,
gloves?
this was like some boxing gloves.
Okay, alright, cool. Okay,
We didn't
yeah.
have mouth guards, we didn't have a groin guard, we didn't have anything like that.
Just
We just
brawling.
no, we just wanted to brawl for fun. And then we
That's cool.
realized, like, we were always, like, myself, Dylan, and Drell, those are the three directors
Yeah.
in the company. We always wanted to do something together, like start some company. I was always saving up some money. They were saving up money as well. We didn't know what we wanted to do as yet. I always thought that my money would have went into real estate and
Right.
purchasing like housing and all that. So that's what I saved my money for. But after that night, everybody enjoyed themselves. We realized that we did a good, we had a little walkout, something that music was playing from a
Right.
big speaker.
Yeah.
And it actually was on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
By a point in time, that was like, I would have been frowned upon. So we just kind of took it
Right.
off.
Okay.
Now we could tell the story, to be honest. And like after that, we said, what, if we could do this with like 15 brethren drinking a stag in our backyard in the dark, then imagine we put some money behind it, put some effort behind it, and build a
Yeah.
team behind it, and see what it could become. Like it's a business we always wanted to do. We enjoy doing it. And as an athlete myself, I saw that when I did start fighting, there was nowhere for me to fight. I would be begging for fights. And my coach, I had a few coaches, and one of my coaches would say like, "Nah, we ain't unfair there. And you're too new, you're too young, or whatever the case is, some excuse for me not to fight." So I said, "Hey, what? Like, I want to build a platform that could introduce people to these sports, and this give people the opportunity to fight. It makes no sense you're training for fighting, like football. It makes no sense you're training for football and you have no football game to play.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's exactly what we did. And unfortunately, after that COVID hit, because after 2019, like I was thinking COVID came in 2020, and then we couldn't do anything. So we spent that whole pandemic period on our computers and calling every night. The three of us just planning and planning and planning and planning. And then as soon as the prime minister told us that we could have their like safe zones,
Yeah. I remember.
we could have
Yeah.
something. Immediately started our event, and we started it right here in Songforge.
Yeah. Shout out to Songforge for letting us use the facilities for the interview. Shout out Songforge.
Yeah, that Songforge since then has been like probably our biggest partner and supporter since then. And they really wanted to see us grow. They gave us a chance, and they took a chance on us, and well, here we are now, 3.5, 4 years later.
Yeah.
To be honest, so we didn't stick. I think our biggest thing is that we did not stick. As soon as we saw the opportunity, we took it.
For sure. Because you were at what, Rabz 10 just passed?
Yeah, so Rabz 10. That would have been like our 11th event, but our 10th titled Rabz event.
Right. Yeah. So in terms of like startup cost and just cost in general to throw, because you said you and your dogs, you'll pool your money and you'll created this thing, right? And I imagine what it is now might not have been what Rabz 1 was, maybe. Was it?
No.
Okay, right. So I guess from Rabz 1 to now, the capital injection, or what was it, your financial cost, did you break even? when you're through your first event? How did that work?
So the first event, I mean, I can't tell you the exact figures, but the
Right. Yeah.
first
Yeah.
couple events, like we obviously did lose money, and we weren't afraid to lose money. I think I understood business enough, and we did enough research to know that in the first couple of years, you're almost never gonna break even or make some money. You need to like invest in yourself and invest in your business and delay the gratification and take your time to start making your money. If it is you're not patient and you're not persistent, and just even like what's the word I'm looking for, boy? Stubborn. If you're not stubborn enough to bounce off those losses, then you're not really gonna make it anywhere. To be honest, it's a game of patience. So no, there was no money to be made in the first couple of years, and I think that is why a lot of promoters don't do shows after their first couple of shows because they see that it's really just it's not the easiest thing to be profitable from. You know, it's an expensive thing to do.
So I guess
Mm.
for you then, like, what is the benefits of it doing it long term? You know, like, or do you know based on your calculations or whatever, like, all right, after this amount of years,
Nah,
I
you
should
never
be,
know. You never know. You never know. And I was always okay with that. I had to make my peace with if it is I'm doing this or if it is we're doing this, sorry, like me and my team,
yeah,
that there is no guarantee that it would work. There is a possibility where like we just go broke and in debt and then you have to pay off debt for the next 10 years of your life. And that was always a possibility. And we knew that it was. And it was always a risk that I was willing to take. I prefer personally, and I have a few persons in my circles that would agree with this as well. Personally, I would take that risk rather than playing it safe for the next 20 years and looking back and wishing that I did take that risk. Because at the end of the day, like you're gonna get back your money. You know, you could always work for money. Like opportunities and jobs are always gonna be there.
yeah,
So like while you're young, take the opportunity while you're young. And we started it when we're all the same age. We started it when we were 22, 23,
yeah. You
around there.
guys
I
were
don't think
young,
there's a
yeah,
better. It's better you
yeah.
started at 23 than
Facts,
33
agreed.
or 43 or 53. You
Yeah.
know. So we took the risk while we could have young. We saved
Hmm.
up our money. I worked like me personally. I worked like probably 4 different jobs between the time I was like 17 and 23 just to save up money. I was babysitting, I was cleaning fish tanks, I was doing car washes,
Hmm.
where else did I work? I worked in the zoo, like all these kind of things, just to save up like dollar by dollar. And
Yeah.
I didn't at the point in time I didn't know what it is I wanted to spend that money on, but I knew that well I always had to say that I will compare luck to a bus ticket. If and everybody does get lucky, it's just that luck is that bus ticket, that bus that comes to the bus stop. You just had to be like waiting there
Waiting at
with
the
your
bus
bus
stop.
ticket. Yeah,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you wait on
yeah,
the bus stop and you don't have your ticket and you're not ready and prepared, luck is when preparation meets opportunity,
yeah,
essentially. And if
yeah.
you're not prepared, even if you don't know what you're preparing for, when it comes along, then
You
it's gonna
would.
pass the straight, you know.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we prepared for it, and like I mean, I genuinely, as a Christian, I genuinely do think God put everything in place for us to build the team and build the promotion to what it is right now. Like I think with my attributes paired with Dylan's attributes, and it paired with Jarrell's attributes, and then we went to school with a photographer, and then we went to school with a graphic designer,
So,
and my brother was good with technologies, and my other brother was good on the mic, and then everybody kind of, and then we had a friend we went to school who was a DJ, and then he knew more
yeah.
DJs, and everybody kind of just meshed together almost as perfectly as could be. And I said, you know, like this really isn't coincidence. Like this is something that we were meant to do now, and you know, we have to take the opportunity to
Yeah.
do it.
So, like, one of the things I look at your company and I see is that
Mm,
it's clearly it at least it's clearly multiple people or it's a team because
mm,
the amount of content that you put out and the quality of the content that
yeah,
you're doing is just like I know that one person can't be the
nah,
brains
it's
behind
impossible.
putting all
Nah, it's
of this together,
impossible.
right? So like how big is your team and how do you guys segment things?
Well, the core team is about 10 to 15 people max. And I segment on everybody's personality traits and their specialties, and just like what they like to do as well. Now. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to put the DJ to go and handle logistics. You know, he's going to handle the entertainment. So we really split it into like production, logistics, entertainment, matchmaking, and fight coordination. Even down to the commentary, I have a little section for that alone. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and have people specializing in that by themselves, so they make the best out of it. You're not going to make the best out of it if you have 50% of the energy going into A and then 50% of the energy going into B.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who's doing 100% going into A is always
How is
going to
that?
outperform. Yeah, so essentially, we have a few different branches in the company, and everybody takes over those. I mostly do like the marketing and matchmaking because I'm in the sports.
Right.
Not for too long to be honest. I like probably what 6 years now,
Mm-hmm.
6 7 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been very involved in esports. I think I've gained the trust of the community in esports, which I think is the most important thing in my position. And I do my best to really maintain that and keep my standards high and keep my reputation like as unscathed as possible.
Yeah,
To be
yeah.
honest, I mean, it's not the easiest thing because as a promoter, you're gonna come into this position already wearing a big target on your back because of what went on in the past. Like years before me, I was writing SE and men writing checks in their own name, they getting robbed, like promoters not paying fighters, they straight up lying, switching dates all the time, and just not performing to what they marketed, or not producing
Yeah.
to what they marketed. So the trust was like completely dead, and that is why I think to me there was nothing going on in sports before. And I see now why all these things were happening. It's like the furthest thing from easy to live up to your word in such a harsh and scarce environment like combat sports in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
But we make it work somehow. I don't think I wear my hat too high. So if it is I do fall short, our reputation and my trust does always catch us, and people want to see. Did they see that we put our all into the events, our all into the sports, and we do have good hearts when it is we're doing it. So I don't think that any like mistakes are gonna cost us,
Yeah.
our years of work. To be honest.
When you say fall short, what specifically are you talking about?
So there are a few ways you could fall short. You could fall short by like the finances for the event, for example. You could fall short by the attendance for the event. You could fall short by how many fights you have in the event, like the quality of the fights within. There are a million ways that you could just like not live up to the fans and the fighters'
Yeah.
expectations. And this is business and it is reality. Like not everything will go perfectly. You could, I don't know if you know what Murphy's law is, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes
No,
you
no,
can't
yep,
go
yep,
wrong,
yep,
will
yep.
go
Will
wrong.
go wrong. Yeah, and with an
And
event like this, I imagine, yeah,
yeah, you've seen like disaster UFC events as well, where like their whole main card would fall off because somebody get a heart attack or somebody break
yeah.
their toe.
You've had some fighters like in the like.
So it was bound to happen at one point in time. Like, we had like a perfect run up until I think last year, and last year we had one card. It might have been Rabz 9. We had like
Mm-hmm.
four amazing
It
fights on the
was.
main
Yep.
card. Everybody got injured within the last 2 weeks of the campaign. Everybody got injured.
You had a
Somebody
fighter pull out any night, I believe.
that happens almost every night. To be honest, like we cater fit at that point in time.
Mm.
Like it happens almost
What
every night.
what what are they doing in the back that they get injured? Like
But it's fighting. It's not like you have a football team. If somebody gets injured, you just replace them.
right.
You have 11 persons. Like this is a one-man football team.
Yeah.
It's a one-man army. If something as much as like you stub your toe on your way out the house, which has happened by the way, and like if you fracture it or you break it, and the coach doesn't want you to fight, you won't fight in it.
Yes.
And then I now have to go and break the new stuff fight in the backstage. Like, hey,
Hey, you ain't gonna fight by
you ain't
hard
getting a
luck.
fight again. Sorry, all your money and your hard work and your 2 months training camp just went to waste. My bad. You know, like all your fans kind of wasted their money coming to see you if they just came to see you. And I have to do that almost every event to every other event. Yeah, I've gotten used to it at this point in time. It's sad, but it's reality of the fight sport. And somebody who's inexperienced would blame me for that somehow. And the more experienced guys would say, you know what, that's the reality. I can't blame you for that. Like that's just how it is, and they gotta move on with their life.
Yeah.
So, but I do my best to do right by everybody when it comes to those things that are out of my control.
No, that's super cool. I
Yeah.
think like even if you're not like into the fighting necessarily, like
Yeah.
because sometimes it goes like guys are into the fights and maybe they're like, oh, you bring your girlfriend or whatever, right?
Uh-huh.
Like you still create an atmosphere, you create something that there is something for everybody.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Like
But that is us catering to Trinidadians.
yeah.
We've assessed the market, the event market specifically in Trinidad, and I think that based on all the events that I went to, like Trinidadians have real, they like a lot going on now. They don't really like to pay attention to one thing at any point in time. So if it is you have like let's say tailgate for example,
Mm-hmm.
you bring your cars inside, you can bring a horse inside, I think or something.
Oh.
You can bring your cars inside, and
Yeah.
then you have a stage, and then you have like bowling pins, and then you have like X, Y, and Z.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, you're right. No, that
That
yeah.
happens for our great event. Even out to boat parties, you see boat rides, and then there are different activations all over the place, and that's where the sponsors come in as well. And it just makes it a lot more enjoyable of an experience. I always wanted that we could take a little bit of a blueprint from CPL. And if it is you don't come to watch the fights, you don't have to watch the fights. Some people come there and they don't watch the fights at all.
I'm sure.
They don't watch
I'm
the fights at
sure.
all. They
Yeah.
go on arm
Yeah.
wrestle or they go on and take samples or they go by the bar or they just line. There's a line man talking
Yeah.
in the back of the venue.
Yeah.
And then when something is happening, they go and take a look.
But it's like I remember when I came, because first time I was like, all right, local event, let's see. Honestly, I really wasn't expecting much, if I'm being honest.
Really?
Like
I don't blame you.
no, like just in terms of like the other okay. I'll say this. I've never been to other promotions, right? I've never been to another event. However, how certain events were promoted, and then when I see sometimes how full the venue is or whatever,
Mm.
right? Like from the recordings afterwards, I'm like, I didn't really miss much.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? So I was like, I was coming, I'm like, all right, like, we'll see where's the scene.
Okay.
And I was totally blown away. I was like, dog, this real bad. Like, honestly, all of the fights that I saw that night, with the exception of probably like one,
Which round was this?
this was 9.
9. Okay.
So there was one fight that I felt like it was kind of like a little brawl.
Okay.
I think it was like amateur fight,
Okay.
but everything else,
I was on the undercard.
yeah,
Yeah. So probably structured where you go from like the least experienced to the most
right,
experienced.
right. So, but everything else, I was like, no, this real bad. There's that top quality. There's that top quality
That was
thing.
the first. That was the first.
And that was my
kickboxing,
first
yeah?
one.
True.
Yeah, but
congrats.
I was very familiar with the brand
Okay.
prior to. So
What made the difference for you to come out to that event rather than the
that's a
8
good
events before?
question. I think it was honestly it was just opportunity. It was like I had the time to go,
Right.
and like I think yeah, that was really just about it. I was like I always wanted to go. The time was coming up like outside, you know,
Yeah.
and it was a great time. It really was a great time.
Okay.
Your sponsors, you talked about your sponsors.
Mm.
How did that come about? You approached them, they approached you. Like how does that work?
Both, to be honest. And I think in every country, the environment for sponsorships and partnerships is a lot different. But at the end of the day, I think that you work best with sponsors who like what you're doing.
Yeah.
Sponsors who like sports, or they like events, or they like combat sports on the whole. That makes it a lot easier than rather than me coming to convince them, hey, this is something you should invest in. This is something that does align with you. If they like it one time, even if it doesn't align with them, they want to do it just because it makes them feel good to contribute to something that could better the country and certain parts of the country and states of the country at the same time, all while providing entertainment for everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And our biggest sponsors really are like Arm and Hammer. Honestly, a lot of Aventa products. Arm and Hammer, Nubria. We have other sponsors like Punchy Punch. And like I can do a whole list of like 20 plus, to be honest.
But so you have 20 plus now, but when you started, what did you have?
The first, what was it, boy? The first year we had 0. Everything was
out of pocket.
Yeah, everything was out of pocket. A lot still is out of pocket now, but the first year was like barren. Like, and I don't think a lot of people could put up with that at first, because I wasn't a very well-known person at the point in time as well. I was quiet, and before I wouldn't have been able to do an interview like this at all. So approaching a sponsor like I can now, like just walking into their office and say, hey, I want to talk to X, Y, and Z. I have something to pitch them. I couldn't have done that before. So it is something that I had to gradually build up, but there was nothing in the beginning really.
Was it necessarily easy for you to do, like, or you needed to have introductions to certain people in order to get introduced to other people?
That was to me the least of it, but that has happened a couple of times going over. Like your network, having a network behind you would make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because it's a game of not who you know, but who knows you.
Correct.
So by the time you approach them, they're like, hey, well, I've seen you. Yeah, exactly. I'm familiar with you. And that's why nepotism works so good.
But no, it's true.
That's why nepotism is a thing.
It's true.
But that makes it a whole lot easier. So this is why I try to get my face out there, get the brand out there a little bit more. Yeah. And at least try to get everybody more familiar and comfortable with Rabz and Joshua.
Yeah. Do you think you really have competition in the industry? Or do you think your product is superior enough that you're
honestly, I wish there was more competition, to be honest.
How many people are you competing against?
There are like a handful at best. A mix between like MMA promotions and kickboxing promotions. I wish there was more, and I wish that they put out shows as consistently as us, and give the athletes more of a reason to say, no, I want to get contracted with them instead, or whatever the case is, because it would almost force us to up our game a lot more than we already are. So it's a difficult thing to watch yourself and compete against yourself.
Right.
To be honest,
100%. Yeah.
When you're far ahead.
Yeah.
So I mean, I always welcome the competition. I would never like do foul play and say like, okay, well, I'm gonna try and sabotage X, Y, and Z. But yeah, there is competition there, but I wouldn't really see there a problem right now in the market first. That's all.
I mean, I'd agree with you there.
I'd
agree with you there. No, so you talked about like fighting. You do the fighter research. You basically make the fights.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the sport, so it's not a task for me to go and look for whoever and see how they fight and see how they train and where they're at and where they should be going. Like I'm already there, so.
So for all of the fights that we've had for Rabz,
okay,
all of the fighters you've like approached them or seen them individually? I'm like, yeah, you could come fight for me, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. At first it starts out, and I think everybody's goals change with time as time goes on and the more fights you go on.
Mm.
But at first it's, hey, you want to fight, you want a fight that is of good quality, it's safe, and you're getting a lot of fans behind it. I more persons than not would prefer to come and fight in front of 1,000 people than fight behind a bar. You know, not me. I would actually prefer to fight behind a bar, and I
Are you
have.
just one of those people that just like to fight, kind of
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, I would prefer to fight behind closed doors, to be honest. Like that whole crowd and antics and promotion and all that, that is where I'll get to my head.
Fair, fair,
Yeah,
fair.
which is part of it as well. That is what we train fighters to do. So if it is you really do want to be a professional, you're gonna have to get used to having an interview every week. You're gonna have
Mm.
to get used to doing an interview every week, while staying focused on your opponent and staying focused in your training camp.
Mm-hmm.
And we're giving them that exposure from now. So if it is you have 2 months to train, those 2 months are going to be mixed between training and interviews and promotion and photo shoots and
Yeah,
like just building a character and an alias all together.
yeah,
And it's not an easy thing to do.
yeah. So
I
like
don't like doing it.
on
Yeah,
okay,
I
wow.
don't like doing it at all.
On the promotion side
Uh-huh.
of things, um, so how does the business work in terms of being like the promoter and the fighter? So the fighter is gonna come,
Mhm.
right, and they have to, I'm guessing they'd sign a contract or something like that.
Nah, so you can't
So,
contract amateur fighters. You can
but
contract
so no,
professional
this is
fighters.
for professional, right? So for the fights that you pay, you have a purse for and whatever, right? How does that work?
So there's a small technicality between amateurs and professionals, right?
Right.
We do what I call like semi-pros to amateurs. We've done a few professionals before, and the professionals, the only difference between that and amateurs is that it's a job, it's a business. You have to get contracted to do it, rather than amateurs. You fight for development. The
Right.
pros,
Yeah.
there's no development. You go in there, you could almost legally kill somebody, and you get paid to do it. That is the difference between pros and amateurs. So the refereeing is different. The purse, you get a purse, you get contracted, and there's a lot more like business behind it rather than just the amateurs. The amateurs is actually easier to work with, but they're different risks, and they're more risks to work with as well. So, and there are some promoters who try to bridge the best of both worlds. I kind of like cheat their way and cut corners
Mm-hmm.
in between. But to me, the sweet spot is semi-professionals, to be honest, because you don't want to contract a professional as a pro if it is you can't give them enough money to maintain that lifestyle to be a fighter. You don't want to contract a pro and then giving him $400 to fight
Yeah.
a fight.
What is the most amount of money you've ever had to? Well, you've paid out for a fight.
Paid out for a fight, a pro fight. I can't remember now.
And then there's a follow-up question to that of
Okay.
like, are you paying both fighters or is it just who wins the fight gets the money? How does that work?
So okay. So again, I'll make the technicality, the difference between the pros and the professionals, the pros and the amateurs.
Yeah.
Pros, the most I've paid pros is probably like $4,000 to $5,000 just for showing up.
Okay.
Just for showing up. Like all you have to do is show up and fight. You could like get knocked out in the first round. You have a show person and that's it. How usually professional ranking works is that you get a show purse and you get a win purse.
Right.
So if you show up, let's say it's a UFC fight, you might get like 5,000 US for showing up. If you win, you get a bonus of 5,000 US again. So 5 to show, 5 to win. That's how the pros usually work. And then you can get into like when you're a bigger pro, like say Mayweather, for example, you
Right.
start to get pay-per-view points, and the more pay-per-views you sell, is the more you make, which is why he was so rich, because he sold more, and the more you sell, is the more you make. That's how the pros work. So not everybody, technically, you could be as good a fighter as you want. It doesn't mean you could sell. And if you can't sell, then it doesn't make sense to be a pro. It's a business at the end of the day. Like the actual fighting does not matter when you're a pro. So that is why Jake Paul is richer than 99.9% of boxers out there. He's not the best boxer, but he's the best seller. So he could play the game. He knows how to play the game. A lot of people really think that you just have to get wins and all that. That's not the case at all. Yeah.
So for let's say a youth man in gym, 15 years old, right? Trying to promote himself, trying to be a professional fighter, or at least make some money from fighting, right? As a promoter, what advice would you give to him?
I would say if you're 15, you legally can't be an amateur. I mean, legally can't be a pro.
Right.
So I would say to him, get as many amateur fights as humanly possible while being safe as possible now while you're an amateur. Because that's like your resume that you have to build before. All the best pros, or at least most of the best pros, look at Vasily Lomachenko or Ryan Garcia. Like all of them have like 50 amateur fights, boxing fights, to 300 amateur fights, And by the time you go into the pro ranks, a lot of the times, especially Cubans, you're gonna fight persons that have like they've been in the ring like 300 times, 200 times, and they're always gonna trump somebody who's been in the ring 20 times as an amateur. You know,
Right.
like, and it's gonna be a lot more dangerous you fighting somebody with a bigger resume in your amateur records. And a lot of people take that for granted. I think especially in this country because they're looking at Mayweather and Jake Paul and they're looking at Conor McGregor and these big athletes, and they're saying that yeah, but he has 20 pro fights, but you know, looking at the background as well, when they were 15, not even 15, when they were 10 to 20 years old,
Yeah.
they were fighting hundreds and hundreds of times every weekend. They were fighting and getting that experience. They've probably seen everything that is possible to see in a ring because they've been in the ring so much. And I would always give them the trump card. I would always give them the advantage and benefit when it is they do turn to a pro. So any young athletes now, I would tell you, get as much fights as you can. If you have to go to Tobago, you have to go to Bahamas, Suriname, or wherever it is, get as many fights as you can. Do study the money. Keep yourself safe. Make sure you have a good coach. And
How
yeah,
many reputable coaches do you think we have in the country?
what do you mean by reputable?
Like, there's safe training practices. There are coaches who've been, maybe tested. They've like been in the ring themselves a couple of times. They have their brands have existed for quite some time. They have a steady stream of fighters.
I wouldn't want to use the word reputable, but when it comes to coaching, we have a lot of talented and good coaches. Whether that is you come from a gym that's been here for 10 years or you have a startup gym in
Mm-hmm.
a garage, because I've seen both. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen the garage gyms actually beat the hell out of the actual established gyms that take
Yeah.
their fighters out to whatever country, Canada and Florida and all these things. And then some coach and some athletes come in a gym with scrap iron and a boxing bag that have tape around it because the bag falling apart and he just beat them.
Beat them. Mm-hmm.
So there are lots of talented coaches and educated coaches. They just don't have the facilities. But I do think that Trinidad, on the whole, other than Suriname, I would say we are one of the more talented and reputable countries when it comes to coaches. And we have a big segmentation problem. Like a lot of coaches don't like to work with each other. Some of
Yeah.
them do.
That's just. I think I realized that's like from talking to everybody. That's just
Mhm.
Trinidad. That's just like we. I think
Um,
sometimes too. We develop this culture of like I
mm,
train in you and I know how good you are and
mm.
we real bad and because I train you, you think I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then
Mm.
the coaches themselves may have some beef and then it becomes like this kind of faction kind of thing.
Yeah, people get in their feelings too much, honestly. The only
Yeah.
reason that I think that we've been working with as many different schools as we've been working with, I think the number, you could see it on the website. I think the number is like 15, anywhere between 15 and 20 right now, which is actually more than any other one promotion has worked with altogether. Is because I don't pick sides. Like in the ring is where you have
It's
to pick.
where yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
in the ring. I couldn't care less if I agree with you, I disagree with you, I like you, I don't like you. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter. I don't get
yeah,
up for my feelings. But at the end of the day, we have a mission to complete. And if you're training athletes, you're on the same mission as us.
yeah.
Whether or not you like me or you have a history of me or whatever the case is, we're gonna keep it cordial, keep it professional. I personally like to be friendly and I love the sports and I love interacting with everybody and seeing different points of views.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that helps it helps me get along with everybody, to be honest. But at the end of the day, is to go in the ring, have a fair fight, and whoever comes out on top comes out on top. To be honest,
Yeah.
when the bell rings, I have nothing to do with that. Contrary to popular belief, you hire a sanctioning body, you hire a sanctioning body to do that. I have nothing to do with the fight when the fight's actually going on.
Have you been like I guess as a
Mm.
fighter, you're watching the fights. Have you ever been upset with the refereeing at your own events?
Yeah, yeah, a lot. And I don't. A lot of the times I don't bring it down to maliciousness. I just bring it down to mistakes being made. Just like in FIFA, like the World Cup's going on now. The referees do ship in it
Oh,
sometimes.
100%.
Yeah, they do ship in it sometimes. And in an environment like fighting, there are a lot of like high stakes. Somebody could get damaged, or somebody could have bets on the fight, whatever the case is. The ref and there's a lot of people looking as well. Like you don't have a lot of margin for error.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the times the referees do make some bad blunders. And I have to answer it at the end of the day. I always have to answer for it. And some I've been accused of paying off referees, paying off judges. I've been accused of all kind of nonsense, to be honest. But I do my best to keep it as fair as possible.
You brought up something there.
Hmm.
Um, what would make your business more profitable? And I'm referring somewhat to like things like with gambling, for example, make
Hundred
your
percent, 100%. But you could only do gambling when it comes to pro sports. So we do semi-pro to amateur sports. The off occasion, I would say the off occasion, the occasion that we do professional fights. yes, you could involve betting companies,
Mm.
but it is illegal to bet on amateur
Amateur
fights. Or
fights.
I mean, you could bet on the amateur fights if
But
you
it
want,
just
but
wouldn't be,
I
yeah.
can't facilitate.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. But outside of that, what else do you, is
What
there
makes it
any
more
other?
profitable?
Yeah, because I was thinking like,
Mm.
bro, so I know for a fact for sports, gambling is that's where it makes your money, right?
Mhm.
But outside of that, what else could somebody
So
do?
there are like a handful of main revenue streams, and I guess it's me educating the rest of the fight community as
Mm-hmm.
well who might not
Mm-hmm.
know. Your main revenue streams would be, and I'll go from like bottom to top, the gate, the ticket sales. You would have merchandising sales. You would have sponsorship deals and partner deals, and you would have TV deals. So,
Mm.
and that is like from lowest to highest. The gates and ticket sales is always going to be a least because there's only so much people you can put in a venue. But
Facts.
if it is you at the top of the pyramid now, you get a TV deal with say Paramount, like the UFC did. They have an annual $1 billion deal with Paramount. Their stadiums could be empty,
It
and
don't matter
yeah,
to
it
them.
don't
Maybe
matter.
they
They could
got
sell
a
no
billion
tickets,
dollars.
and they would still be in the green. You know, so
Wow.
that is the most important thing. But that is like the end of the road. That is like the pinnacle of making your revenue and making your money.
Mm.
Where we're at, I mean, we're not, we don't have any TV deals as yet like that. With like Rush Sports or ESPN or whatever the case is. So right now, what is keeping everything afloat is us doing our promotion, which is why we're so like hell bent on our promotion and selling tickets and selling pay-per-views. And I'm very picky with who fights on the card in the first place because I would call it semi-professional because there are aspects of the professional game that play in these amateur fights. So if, like, say for example, Joshua James fought
Right.
in the main event for the last one against Modino Masi
Mm-hmm.
from Suriname, if Masi doesn't sell pay-per-view tickets, if James doesn't sell local tickets, then like the event's just not gonna come off because I'm taking a gamble by promoting them. And when I say a gamble, it's like an educated
No, I
gamble.
know
I
exactly
know
what
who
you
to
mean. Yeah,
promote
yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
I'm taking a gamble to promote them, and in the hopes that I promote them well enough to sell enough tickets. So like he is a great fighter, Zachary's a great fighter as well. But at the end of the day, like to keep a kind of business like a business like this afloat, the fighters need to be selling tickets to their friends, their family. They need to support themselves because when it is they go into the pro ranks, they're only going to be as valuable as the amount of tickets that they sell. No promotion is like the UFC, for example. You ever wonder why they don't sign Trinidadian fighters or Tobagonian fighters or too many Jamaicans? Because the country's small. They don't have tickets to sell. If the whole of Trinidad were to buy tickets, that would be like a normal day for those big fighters in the UFC. Alex Pereira's
Yeah, it
from
makes sense.
Brazil.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Conor
what, yep.
McGregor's from Ireland. They have big pools to sell from.
Wow.
So a big thing that, like, again, they have to understand the science behind it. A big thing that we're trying to do is unite the entire Caribbean. So
Mm-hmm.
when it is now that fighters, say like Rampage Rodolfo, get signed by the UFC or Joash Walkins get signed by the UFC, they won't look at it as, oh, he's a Trini fighter. They look at it as he's a Caribbean fighter, and he has the entire of like Latin America and the whole
Behind them,
Caribbean
yeah.
islands behind him. It's like one nation now behind him, and that's what we're trying to do, like unite everything. So it's not just he has 1.2 million people from Trinidad.
Yeah.
Yeah, the maths are the maths. It's business at the end of the day. The maths are the maths.
No, but I never
You
considered
never,
that what you're talking about, but like UFC signing like Trinidadian fighters or
yeah, when you
Jamaican
think about
fighters.
it, we could be as good as we want, But I could be the best fighter coming out to the Caribbean. It would take an arm and a leg to go and get signed by the UFC if it is I don't have a support system behind me. If it is I can't sell tickets and they would just be at a loss promoting me.
Yeah, you're right, because
Yeah.
I guess from as a consumer, you
Mm.
look at the promoter as like, all right, it's kind of on the promoter to make the fight, yes, and it's on the promoter to sell the tickets, but really
Yeah.
and truly, is the fighter who sells the tickets essentially.
Yeah, the fight is the avenue from through which they sell the tickets. Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
they could. Yeah, I mean, you could promote a rock well enough, and you could sell tickets for people coming to see a rock fight. A piece of stone. But it's never gonna sell as much tickets as somebody who actually is marketable and they're good in front of cameras. They have a character. There's a reason for people to buy tickets to see this man fight.
Yeah.
You know.
And in terms
So
of so that's like the promotion side of the
yeah,
fights, right? And the fighters.
yeah.
But in terms of the actual setup of the event,
Okay.
the logistics of it, um, what do you need to put on a Rabz event?
So specifically, I'll tell you what we
Mm.
need to put on a Rabz event because it's different from just a traditional fight event, and I wouldn't tell out too much of the formula.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, even if I do, like, if somebody could do it better than I can, go ahead, friggin',
Do
go
your
ahead,
thing.
dog.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
If they could do it better and contribute to the sport better than I can, go straight ahead. I ain't gatekeeping nothing.
yeah.
But a Rabz event is an entertainment event at the end of the day. People have to enjoy themselves. Whether the fights are good, whether they're bad, people have to enjoy themselves. And I've seen both. I've seen fight cards where like the fights win all that, and people still come back and say, "Dog, I really enjoyed that event." So again, like all the arms branching, I think persons really do, and I don't think they know that they do, but they appreciate like high standards and high levels of production. So the show has to start on time.
Yeah.
The lighting has to be good. The audio levels have to be good. You don't want to come into a show that is 2 hours late and then you reach inside, it's too big speaker inside of there, you know. You don't want to go to the bar and it's two folding tables without a table cover.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You want diversity in the bar, then you want the seats need to be comfortable. It can't be like two piece of wooden chair. So all those like small details really do matter to consumers. And I know that because I like quality in the things that I buy. So I try to produce that for everybody that is there. And we really are receptive to if somebody doesn't like something, as minuscule as I might be, we would go and pay attention to it if it is they have an issue with something real small. So there is that. There's the quality of the production. Then there obviously is the most important part is the fights. You know, so I'm very particular with who it is I put to fight. I make sure that they're professional, that they fight really well. They might be good in front of camera. They have a big audience to add to the venue as well. That matters, and the style of the fight matters as well. You don't want two persons who are counter punches, for example, standing up in the ring and doing nothing for the whole time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm doing that.
Yeah.
People love brawling, but people love technical matches as well.
Yep.
So I try to mix it as much as I could.
Yep.
Other than that, you have the entertainment, so you have the flow of the event. You have like the DJs and the MCs and the commentary, to make sure everything is like, you know, the time is passing by quickly. When you're enjoying yourself, it's gonna pass real fast. And then I mean the people on the whole, what makes an event is the people, to be honest. And the people bring the vibes, and Trinidadians love vibes. Just people from the Caribbean on the whole love vibes. So the audience that you connect with, like it depends who your committee is and who the fighters are bringing out and all these things, and even who you market yourself to, it brings out a certain type of people. And I love the people that we bring on to the events, to be honest, because I think the atmosphere is always 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Since we started, honestly, and we have a real young demographic as well, strangely enough.
You do.
So yeah, I mean, all those things pieced together. And I mean, there are a million other little intricate details I could talk about, to be honest. But the main parts are, I would say, the fights and the persons that come to the event.
Yeah.
And those are the two hardest things to do, to be honest. And
yeah, I think the good part is, as you said, you do have a young demographic, and as you grow, your demographic is also going to grow, because I think it'll be like, all right, 20 years from now, like when your demographic has kids, like, all right, we go into a Rabz event. Like how WWE has like span years and parents and grandparents and whatever. Like
bringing each other to the events.
That'll be Rabz.
And that's what you want to. You want like a community where everybody could feel at home and they could feel involved and it could feel heard. It's a very difficult thing to do, and it wasn't easy doing that. I still even think we do it to the best of our abilities as yet, but it is always something that we're transparent about, and we say like, hey, well, we're doing our best to do this for you. So like let's bounce back and forth. And see like how we can make it better for everybody else.
Yeah. I haven't heard any personally, but I'm sure you get it because you run the business. What are the critiques of Rabz or of yourself?
It depends who's asking, to be honest. The fighters, for example, always have an issue with like the refereeing and the judging, which for a sport that is at least the type of sport that we brought out 4 years ago is still in its infancy. Even down to the fighters. Some fans, I mean, like some of them fighters, like I thought it was brawling too much, it wasn't technical enough. And then some of the fans say the opposite, and they say, but them was too technical, it wasn't brawling enough, the fight was boring. So I don't think it could please everybody.
You can't please everybody, yeah.
Nah, but I mean, none of the critics are really too bad. You know, like somebody might say like they waited too long at the bar. Somebody might say they didn't get their seats where they wanted it to be, or whatever the case is. But I don't think there's anything. All minor stuff, to be honest. Because I mean, my thing is like we want to give people value for their money. We never really bust anybody eye to try and.
I think you've been like for the price of your tickets and for what you're offering. I don't think anybody.
You want to make it available to everybody. It's not like a friggin' exclusive club that we only want a set amount of people to be in. We want everybody to enjoy it.
So from your first event, in terms of numbers, right, from Rabz 1 to like Rabz 10, like what's the difference in people?
Rabz one had, well, I told you about the first thing that we ever did
Be
had
they
like
backward, yeah,
15 people,
yeah, yeah.
you know. Um, Rabz one had like 200 people in
Damn.
it, I think.
How did
Yeah,
you prove that was just through social media and just through friends and family kind of thing?
that was mostly word of mouth. Yeah, like word of mouth, social media.
That's
And that was it.
impressive
And
though.
we
We
had
get
like,
200 people to come out.
yeah, it was actually mad. Might have been a little less than 200 people, to be honest, like maybe between 150 and
that's still
200.
crazy.
Yeah, and it was good. Like I said, like the venue didn't need to be full
Because
to
it was
enjoy it.
here, right? It was right Songford.
Yeah, it was in Soundforge. Soundforge honestly did us the biggest favor with working with us. It was supposed to be in Harvard Sports Club.
Yeah, but here's a better, definitely a
Yeah.
better fit than.
So how the story went, it was supposed to be in Harvard Sports Club, and then I think literally 4 weeks before the event, we were still promoting it.
Mm.
Something happened with the venue with one of their licenses, and we couldn't have it there again. And we were scrambling. And then one of my team members, Type One, he he said like, hey, well, this is a venue called Soundforge. You should go and check them out. So we sped to Soundforge. We checked them in person. We spoke with Nariba at the point in time, and she was really, really, really helpful in hosting our first event. She was like, okay, well, yeah, now we'll work with you. I like what it is you do. We never had that at Soundforge before because it's a theater.
Yeah.
And they were open to doing it, and they worked with us where they had to work with us, and yeah, the rest is where we are now. So that event had around 200 people. The most we facilitated in one event was closer to 1,000 people, to be honest. Like anywhere between like 850 to 1,000.
That's
And
a
that would have been
5x basically, 5x
yeah,
increase.
that would have been in Zen. That would have been in Zen.
Okay.
That we did with Rain and Midnight.
What was the logistics for throwing the beach event?
Actually, that was hell. That was actually hard. That was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life.
I imagine because that one, like, how it worked? Because like you all did like partitions or whatever, like with the around yeah. How that worked?
So for the beach, like the plan kept changing all over the place. Like we wanted to, ideally we would have wanted to have had it sponsored, and then everybody in the beach could have had
could have just
And then we had to go through like EMA and then what's this thing, boy? EMA and all these other people. So then we said, okay, nah, that's gonna take too long. We have to go to another place. And then we actually approached Uncle Sam's because I went to school with somebody who used to work with him.
Yeah.
And a lot of these things is like people and they kind of just put you on the network. Is a network,
Mm-hmm.
And he said like, hey, now Uncle Sam is a real nice guy. You should approach him. Go and ask him if he could somehow collaborate on the event with you. We approached him and his son Matthew, and they said like, yeah, dog, like that's a real good idea. Like we want to do that. So they hosted it in the car park by them.
Right.
They had to pay some fees, and they had to work with the police. They had to work with the venue owners and all this.
Yeah.
And then we had to basically block off. We permitted it with tents, essentially, and we put the ring down the center of the tents, and like we would, and it was in the middle of the rainy season as well. Like half of the team did not want to do the event. And there was a part of me that had doubts on the event as well, but I really did see it as like drawing back your bowstring so you could traject yourself even further, because I knew that we weren't gonna make a lot in the event. I knew that it was gonna be friggin' difficult, especially with the time frame that we worked with. And because of the time frame that we worked with, like we had a date, and then another like big event fell on that date, and we had another date, and the venue fell through that we were supposed to do behind Movie Town before we did it on Maracas Beach. They have an artificial beach behind Movie Town, and then that went through some construction last minute, and they kind of like shafted us. And then we ended up in front of Uncle Sam. So like everything, I always trust God, and I always have faith when it comes to anything that is happening. So I'm not too worried. As quick as a doubt comes in, it goes back out. And I'm not too worried what goes on, because a lot of people are really worried about the rain. I think a lot of people didn't come out because of the rain. But I said, it's either now or never for it. So let's go and do it now. And we did it. And honestly, like problem after problem after problem came out. Like maybe we didn't get enough tents to make the perimeter, or like the chair company or the tent company was stuck in traffic or something like that, because it's one way in, one way out now. So there was a lot of logistics, like even down to my event, what do you even call him, boy? Andre from Now Concepts.
Mm-hmm.
He does a lot of our decor for the event. He was like, bro, that's gonna be a logistical nightmare.
Yeah, because you're not close to anything.
You're not close to anything. Transport's gonna go through the roof. Even down to time spent. Yeah, you need like a week to prepare for that. We did it in like 2 days. Yeah, even down to like we had to start probably like an hour or so late because we ran into problems. One of the problems we ran into was that we set up everything, it was looking perfect. The ring is hot. And when I say hot, I couldn't stand in the ring for like I couldn't stand the ring for more than 3 seconds. It
Whew.
was piping. So we say, shit. What are we gonna do for the ring? Like we have limited ice. Go and buy ice from the gas station, put ice all over the ring, and then cover it down with the top. Right? Because somebody suggested that. I said, great, good idea. Let's go and cool on the ring with some ice. And it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, so sun beaming.
I leave it for like 15 minutes. Go and test it out again. All the ice melts and it just turns into hot water. So the ring is now like steaming and boiling at the same time. So I'm like, no. And you still can even say you're just boiling any water in the ring.
Damn.
Yeah, and well, eventually it cooled down. We had to put the top over it again and give it some more time to cool down. But it's something I didn't even think about.
Yeah.
Because the sun wasn't, it genuinely wasn't that hot.
Wow.
But the ring was. And then things happened like the rain was there. We had a little like rain cloud that came close. And I remember specifically the referee. I told the referee like I just had faith. I was moving on faith for that whole event, boy. And I'm really, really glad that that event went off because it showed what we could do with sports tourism in the country. And there was a rain cloud coming over the mountains, and the referee turned to watch me, and he was like, um, "You better pray some more that rain cloud don't come over the event." Eh? And I was like, "Nah, I done pray. Like I have nothing else to say. Like I've already offered up what I could offer up, and all I have to do is like have faith now." And the rain cloud just did a big U-turn. I remember like we got like a sprinkle of drizzle for one of the fights. That was the Maddie Adams versus John Paul Surratt. And honestly, that was real sick because they were fighting in like a small drizzle,
Wow.
and then the rain cloud turned around. And strangely enough, the event finishes. All that we go through our post-event traditions, and then that was on the Sunday. On the Monday at lunchtime, the entirety of Maracas is under 3 feet of water. So to tell you how like God really did hold up the weather first, the day after, not even 24 hours afterwards, it was under like 3 or 4 feet of water. I remember opening my phone in the morning and checking that cars couldn't pass, and we would have bust the event 110%. Like we would have lost everything on that event. The ring would have been underwater. The event couldn't have happened, and we don't spend all the money to put off the event. So I mean, it definitely worked out, and I was in the least bit surprised. I was grateful, but I wasn't surprised. So yeah, and that was honestly the most difficult thing I've had to do in my life. The amount of sleep that I lost, and a lot of my team as well. Like that was the hardest we worked to put that off, and it was fun. I would do it again. I would just love to do it now with more resources, a bigger team behind it, and all that. But we proved that it could be done.
Yeah.
And that was the first time in Trinidad's history that it was done. The same thing
Wow.
like for the club event. Like nobody threw a fight night in a club or worse yet Zen nightclub before, and packed it out for 900 plus people. And even for the beach event as well. That is like those are two historic things that we've done, and I'm
Yeah.
real happy that we worked with the people that we work with to make it happen.
That's super cool. I'm genuinely very, very proud. I mean, this is my first time meeting you, but like seeing what you've done, what you're able to establish you and your team, is really very, very proud moment actually to be able to sit here and talk with you. So
I appreciate that.
I guess final things. If the three most important things you've learned on your journey as CEO at Rabz, what would you say?
That's crazy. Three most important things. Don't be afraid to take risks, because if you're afraid to take risks, scared money makes no money. So I would say the solution to that is always have faith and go forward, being all right with whether you win or whether you lose. When you go into a fight, you have to be okay and make peace with the worst possible scenario when you go into that ring. If you're not, you're always gonna have to the back of your head that something's gonna happen. I'm scared. I'm doubting. I don't want this to happen, and you're gonna be hesitant. And hesitation is failure. Another thing as well is to be afraid of getting out your comfort zone. And I mean, I would kind of say that those are the two biggest ones for me, because the more I stay in my little bubble of comfort, the further I go with this company. If I'm afraid to talk to somebody, or if I'm afraid to fail, or if I'm uncomfortable to do something new, like the club event or the beach event. If I was uncomfortable, honestly, I'm uncomfortable till this day, but that's just another feeling that you have to put to the back here, and I'm going to move forward, to be honest. And I mean, at the end of the day, I'm grateful for the team that I work with the fans that come out and support us, the fighters that we work with. It's never been easy, but like it's something that I think that is a fight at the end of the day. It's a fight in the ring and it's a fight out the ring, and we're fighting to make something like huge and to rival CPL in the future. And I know that it's never gonna be an easy task, but whether it takes 100 years, whether it takes 1 year, like I'm gonna push for it the same way. So that was really it. Oh, I actually wanted to touch on something.
Mm-hmm.
Something with the finances, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you mentioned that I was mentioning the difference between the pros and the
Mm-hmm.
amateurs. So to kind of bridge between the amateurs sustaining themselves a little bit more, and it isn't an easy thing to do. And I think more promotions could actually try to do it as well,
Right.
is because it costs for the fight camp, it costs for gym fees, it costs for nutrition,
Yes.
it costs for gears, it costs when you get damage as well. And I would know that I had to walk myself to the hospital how many times after training. Um, to let the fighters make a little bit of what they sell. It will teach them the value of what they sell is what they're worth, and they get a little commission off of it in the first place. Well, after the fight is over, so it's not like you do something illegal by giving them the salary, but you give them an opportunity to make their own
That's
money
a
as
great
well.
idea.
And that's what we've been doing, and it works. If an event would, for example, lose a lot of money, they would just get a little delay in getting that
Yeah,
contribution
yeah,
paper.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it is
yeah.
always a contribution because, like, as an amateur athlete, nothing is owed to you for going out and developing yourself. If you go to a swimming meet, like nobody owes you anything.
Facts.
If you go to
Facts.
Curfter games, nobody
Yeah.
owes you anything
Yep.
for coming out there and running,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
And this is the same thing as an amateur sport. But at the same time, you have to read between the lines and see that, these people are coming in from a very impoverished sport and they're coming in from a sport that could damage you a lot and does cost money.
Mm-hmm.
So as a promoter and as a fighter, I really do my best to give them value in any kind of monetary way or any kind of way whether it be like promotion or training or whatever the case is. Like I want to bring value to the sport. And that's what we do. I mean, if there's any suggestions, you could probably comment down below what it is we could do better or anything that's new. But yeah, that's what we do so far.
Yeah. Josh, a pleasure, brother. Thank you so much. This has been another episode of Dungeon Talks. Please like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, we'll catch you in the next one. Later.